What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Men in Stripes, brought to you by StripeHype.com, a fan-sided exclusive network here. Really excited. We have another guest this week. We haven't had one of those in like 2 weeks, right? And not to mention, we get to do a game preview this week. For the first time in Men in Stripes history, we have a football game that is Bengal-related to break down. Tim Daniel here, excited for this week's show. Joining me, as always, he is my excellent co-host. He is the co-editor of StripeHype.com. This is none other than Mr. Matthew Wilson, representing the Houday and the PA.
What is up, Tim?
Dude, I think we matched today.
We do match today.
Yeah, I feel weird right now.
But you know what? It was bound to happen.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you don't call and coordinate outfits with me, Tim.
Damn it. And we're going to have to start, like, decking out in, like, Houday gear every week now. Like, now that we're doing Google Hangout, I have to, like, put, like, jerseys on every week and, like, paint my face and...
Don't worry. I have a Still Strong shirt. So I've got this bad boy. I've got my Devon Still jersey, that we got all during that time because we wanted to help with child care search. So
funny you say that. I ordered one of the Still Strong shirts, some Cincy shirts, and I paid for it, but I never received it. Like, there's just something weird that, like, happened where I didn't get it. And it was the first time ever I didn't receive merchandise that I wasn't upset about because the donation still went through from purchasing the shirts. So I was like, we're cool. That's fine. I'm all right.
Yep. No, I mean, it was actually the first shirt I bought from Cincy Shirts, and they're good guys.
Dude, Cincy Shirts is awesome. Like, they're actually, I think they're talking about setting a shop up over here somewhere.
That would be awesome. Then again, whoever thought Grater's Ice Cream would be in Pittsburgh? So, now we just need a Skyline. If we can get a Skyline here, we'll be good.
Dude, just tell me. I will send you cans.
Well, I'm lucky that, like, I can go to Walmart here, and I can actually get cans of Cincinnati chili. They got it in our frozen aisle.
Okay.
And I can get Montgomery and rib sauce.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
So
okay.
I'm set.
Yeah, you know what's even better here? I don't have to drink Iron Steel.
You mean Iron City?
Either way, it's terrible.
Oh, have you had Natty Light?
Yes, even worse.
I was going to say, that's the worst.
Oh, God. Like, Natty Light is...
To get a Pittsburgh beer, go Rivertown. Rivertown Brewery is always bank.
Nice. So, man, we are already off track. It's like it's like our Men in Stripes specialty. So, let's kind of get into the news here, and just so everyone knows, we will fully do this show. We don't have to worry about any field conditions.
Wow. There was some hardening of the heart beforehand until we had a special guest join us a little bit earlier to record his interview, and everything just softened up. So, our hearts are good to go, Bengals Nation, everything. So, because we were, let's face it, we were a little bitter here because...
You can say the term salty.
Well, yeah, okay, salty. We were a little salty because... plain and simple, we couldn't figure out whether or not we could get him on the show, especially using Google Hangouts now. And we found a way to work around it. So, we're good. We're all good.
We are good. Yeah, it was awesome. So, we were joined this week by the infamous Hall of Fame Bengal fan, the Houday baby. He's actually a good friend of mine, so I was really lucky to make sure we can make this work and get him on. So, we'll play that here for you in a bit. But first, man... Oh, boy, what a week of practice for the Bengals. Man, rookies getting hurt. Vontaze Burfict and Jeremy Hill avoid fighting each other. That's a good sign, right?
Well, that's a great sign because that means they can work it out.
And then the Vikings come and they have do the joint practices, which seems like they're going well. It seems like things are fun there. Haven't heard much of Emmanuel Lemur getting burned, so I guess that's good for Minnesota fans. Haven't seen Andre Smith get knocked over on his backside by a defensive end by Carlos Dunlap, so I guess that's good for them too. I'm joking. So, yes, It's the Zim Bowl. Mike Zimmer comes back to Cincy, running the Minnesota Vikings football team now as their head coach. They do some joint practices here in Cincy. Terrence Newman doesn't fly out, which was a total bummer. I love TN. I really enjoyed his time here, really revitalizing his career. So was hoping to see him out there on the field practicing against his former team, or even going to be in the game. Obviously, for what that doesn't matter. But the biggest news coming out of this, obviously, is one, Tyler Boyd continues to look awesome in camp. So that's something special we're looking forward to there. And two, William Jackson tears his pectoral muscle. Like we said last week, if it was going to be any position to have an injury, the cornerback positions where they're A-OK. And then this week we find out, we don't know the results yet, but we find out Andrew Billings is hurt. So a little caution, a little fear there. We don't know what's going on yet. Obviously a pretty deep defensive tackle / nose guard depth for this team, not just with Gino, but Domata being the veteran he is, Brandon Thompson being around a while, Pat Sims in his second stint with the team, Marcus Hardison going into his second year. So it obviously sucks because this was the pick that we were all excited about. This was the steal of the draft, many people said. But again, I'm not at the point yet where I want to throw myself out this window.
That's a good thing because then I don't have to be proactive with any of my firefighter training, and that's to tell you how to get out the window safely. First and foremost, to avoid fire. And secondly, I don't have to call the paramedics.
From Pittsburgh to Florence?
That's the big thing because, I have a responsibility. Come on, Tim. Again, off topic. So, we're good at that. But no, Andrew Billings is kind of the news everybody is waiting on. We're sitting here anxiously awaiting. I am sitting here anxiously awaiting for any news to come out on his MRI. Although Jeff Hobson wrote that the team is cautiously optimistic about the MRI results, which they had the MRI, from my understanding, on Wednesday, so yesterday, and so still waiting on results there. Cautiously optimistic. I'm taking it that with William Jackson there was pretty much no optimism there. They kind of just had this grave feeling that things were going the wrong way there. Here, it seems like there's a little bit of at least hope, and hope is always good. So,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'll say so. Plain and simple, the plus side there is the Bengals are, really hoping and really looking forward to him getting back on the field, hopefully sooner rather than later. But yeah, he is the steal of the century. I'll put it that way because I think I wrote about it when he got drafted. In fact, I was standing at work looking at the screen, saw Andrew Billings, and I beeline to my computer. So that was fun.
I saw another clip the other day of when Jackson got drafted. And yes, you can still hear me like when Goodell announces the pick. It's probably my greatest sports moment ever. Been in the press box for Notre Dame, USC. Been to 2 Bengals playoff games. My Notre Dame show covered the national championship. I've worked cage side for UFC. Screaming at the NFL draft. Yeah, that's number one. That's the bar.
So, well, since we couldn't have Goodell on, he turned down our request. I do have to ask you a question then. Are you still excited about that pick?
Yes. Yes. The pectoral muscle isn't like a knee. It's not like anything in the leg. So that's definitely something you can recover from. I mean, and you kind of mentioned there wasn't much optimism there, but they're talking like he might be ready to play towards the end of the year already. So I obviously hope to see him play. Yeah. I think, because let's be honest, as happy as we are and how great he's been for this team for years and continues to be, we don't know how much longer Adam Jones is going to be able to play at the level he's playing. So the Bengals have always been good at recognizing that and building that depth in the Marvin era. So I am excited about Jackson. I am excited about him and Denard for the future. And this is Dre's contract year, man. So not only is this his contract year, in his tenure with the team, he's watched two other guys at his position go round one.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think that there's a little fire inside him. That's not a Davey Havoc reference for you punk rock kids out there. And I think that's kind of it's got to be something that he's paying attention to.
Yeah, no, I mean, we very well know what William Jackson is supposed to be very capable of, and I think we're all excited to get him back. And we're hoping that even if Billings is out, say 6 to 8 weeks, him being back sooner rather than later.
This is go time, man. Like, this is go time for those guys that, a lot of people penciled Billings in to be the guy to rotate with Pecco, and I think that's totally logical and makes a ton of sense. But this is go time for guys like Pat Sims and Marcus Hardison and Brandon Thompson. Like, Brandon Thompson did not dress much last year. Marcus Hardison didn't dress at all. I think Pat Sims was inactive 2 or 3 games. Like, this is because obviously there's this guy named Wells Gilberry that was there in the time frame that was going between tackle and end. This is their shot, man. Like, this is your, get your reps, get your ass in the field, and make things happen, because this is your chance to make this team. Because I would be blown away if they kept all 5 guys. Pecco's a sure-in. Billings is a sure-in. But those last 3, you got to think are competing.
Yeah.
I just can't see them keeping 5.
No, I mean, you might even see them possibly stretch to keep 4. I almost want to say we may be looking at just basically keeping 3, having basically your 2 rotational guys, and having one guy, if possible, drop to your practice team as a kind of a call-up.
I could see Hardison doing a practice squad year. I could also see him making the 53 again and kind of having the same situation.
Yeah.
The one cool thing that's coming out of camp too, a lot of people are really talking about Marcus Hunt and how much better he looks. Kevin Green, the now new Hall of Fame linebacker Kevin Green, worked with Marcus Hunt at camp this week and couldn't stop talking about him. Just talking about how big he was, how much better he looked. I mean, we knew as an athlete that this guy was maybe one of the best athletes on the team, but as a football player, it hadn't clicked yet. I think the jury's still out on him.
Yeah.
I think that, we've seen flashes, we've seen glimpses, mostly in preseason against third-string quarterbacks. Was he the guy that hit Clausen last year in that Bears game that knocked him out? I can't remember. I'll ask Jimmy another time. Anyway, so I think that's kind of the thing there to look out for. So, yeah, nice to see that with Marcus Hunt. Will Clark, this is going to be a big shot for him, obviously. But, yeah, man, so what I take away from this Billing thing is, it sucks, obviously, because we're so excited about his ceiling and his potential. But who's going to step up?
Yeah. No, I mean, first off, they got to look to the guys that are straight on the line. I mean, you have Gino and you have Pecco, and I mean, Gino and Pecco proved that they didn't really need too much behind them, at least last season. Pecco maybe a little slower, but at the same time, again, you do have, if something bad were to happen, or if something, of course, I wouldn't say bad, but say the injury is more serious than first thought, you could at least set him on injury reserve designated to return. It opens up a spot. That at least means that you have Hardison. You'll have to put him down to the practice team, or at least look at that option. He's automatically there.
I want him to make the team so bad.
So, I mean, you look at that aspect, and this team's not bad off. I mean, yes, it sucked to not have Andrew Billings this year, but he also has 3 more years after this year. So why not get him healthy? Why not see him be able to return? And if need be, put him to IR. His season may be done, but at the same time, he's getting healthy for the next season. I think that if this turns out to be something like a broken leg, or something that's maybe serious, but he can return from, you definitely will see him on IR with designation to return after week 8.
I could see that being a case for him too. What did you think of Carson Palmer's comments the other day? Do you see this?
You see him.
Okay, so Arizona signed an extension through 2018. And his comments were he has waited his whole career for a contract like this that he can retire on. Didn't the Bengals sign him to a 10-year deal? Something crazy?
They signed him to
7. That was what it was.
Yeah.
So, to my understanding, Carson Palmer signed that deal when he was in his 3rd year. Because that was after the year where he was just unfreaking believable.
Yep.
Of course, that's the injury. He signs additional 7 years on that. So he would have been with the Bengals for 10 years.
Yeah.
But now he's waiting to have this, like, I'm not saying this is, like, I'm not trying to be that guy, like, this is another Carson Palmer backhand and Mike Brown. But he is so full of shit.
I had respect for Palmer, especially in Arizona, because he's a good quarterback.
Oh, well, he is. Yeah, no doubt about that.
But there are times that these NFL players need to be coached on when to keep their mouth shut and when to show it on the field compared to when opening their mouth is appropriate. We obviously know Adam Jones will never take that class.
But I like that about him.
But maybe we can call it the school of Ben Roethlisberger, because for some odd reason Ben Roethlisberger always likes to spin everything into positive rainbows and unicorns. But Palmer needs to remember why he's in the league, why he is the quarterback he is, and what made him attractive to, every other NFL team that didn't already have a starting quarterback by the name of Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger,
Peyton Manning, Drew Brees.
Yeah, so pretty much that eliminated like 5-16. But that's about it.
My thing is, like, he had a great year last year. Obviously, he was outstanding. Arizona, they're the NFC runner-up. They got lucky when they beat us. Let's be realistic here.
Very.
The whole, like, simulating the snap count thing. Stupidest call. Stupidest thing. Hate that so much. It's the right call. Domata just didn't make the right move. I think that, he just kind of like, for how great his year was, his swan song was pretty terrible. In the NFC title game, like, he was not. He looked like Carson Palmer his first 4 weeks he started in 2004 when he was, like, getting the gist of being a full-time NFL quarterback. That's what he looked like in that game. And it just, I don't know, like. And then if you watch that show on Amazon Prime, that All or Nothing that they're doing the Cardinals, they're, like, talking like, this is Palmer's best year. He's never played like this before. Like, what? Did we forget about 05?
Yes.
Who would you rather have? Let's take age out of it because that's obviously the different thing. 05 Carson Palmer or 2015 Carson Palmer? Don't let age be a factor. What he did on the field, what do you think?
That's a tough one because they did do such a great job, but then again, it's also the pieces around them. And with this team around him in 2015, I mean, I would have loved to see what he could have done on this Bengals team. I love Andy Dalton. There's times I go to lengths to defend them, and last year was a perfect example of, people just need to shut up. But let's face it, the 05 was ridiculous. And it showed that this Bengals team wasn't the Bengals team we knew in the 90s. This Bengals team was a whole new era. And, I know we're both young, so, the 90s was still kind of when we were growing up. But let's face it. I mean, this Bengals team was one of the best Bengals teams that we've seen since – Boomer Esiason. So, plain and simple, we'll say it very, very simple, very easy. The 05 team was probably the best team until Andy Dalton came into play 08 last year that we've seen.
I don't think I'm really much of an Andy Dalton guy, man. I don't know.
I'm not totally sure about it. And, by the way, were you wearing that before?
This? No, yeah, this whole show.
I'm sorry, I must have missed it. My eyes sometimes go bad. My glasses need to be checked. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe you need to huff on them a little bit and scratch it. Yeah.
Okay. But my answer to that would be I probably just slightly would like to have the 05 Palmer over the 15 Palmer.
I take the 05 Palmer because I thought he should have been the MVP that year.
Yep.
I get, there was quarterbacks that did better than 31 and 11, 31 touchdowns, 11 picks. I think there was guys that threw for more yards, but we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, who at that time, the best they had done for 14 years was back-to-back 8-8 seasons. And then you take this team not only to the playoffs, you win your division, you get a home playoff game, you win 11 games, you go into Pittsburgh and beat them there, if you remember. That game was insane. How was he not the MVP? I mean, he was outstanding. I think my favorite Carson Palmer moment ever has to be Monday Night Football against the Broncos in 04. When the first Monday night game, they had a Paul Brown, and he hits Chad on the ball. They're Champ Bailey literally falls on his face. My other favorite Carson Palmer moment is probably when he said that the team cut Jordan Palmer as a way of revenge for him sitting out.
He's not afraid to say things.
Those kids that went to USC, man, I'm not just saying this is a Notre Dame guy. We've seen this with Ray. We've seen this with a lot of guys from SC that aren't Troy Polamalu, basically. They need to not talk. They say the darnest things. It's not kids say the darnest things. It's USC says the darnest things.
Probably my favorite. And by the way, if you actually take a second to listen to Troy Polamalu, he's right there with it. I mean, there's some things that he said that you just kind of look and just go, just be glad you have great hair. Don't get me wrong, he's one of the nicest guys in the world, and he actually, as a Bengals fan, if you could have a favorite Steeler, he would be my favorite Steeler. But he always smiled. He always had a positive attitude. It didn't matter.
He always picked off Carson Palmer.
What's that?
He always picked off Carson Palmer.
Always picked. Well, I think my favorite Troy Polamalu moment was still him timing the jump over. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But
dude, he was unreal.
Over the center and sacking the quarterback before the play even started. That was ridiculous.
How are the Bengals successful in that time frame, going against Polamalu and Ed Reed in the same division?
Oh, hey, your guess is as good as mine. But I'm not sure I don't know what's my favorite Polamalu moment. That, or the time that D'Amato Pekka was leading the rush into the end zone and Troy just all of a sudden stepped back and said, "Here you go. I'm not playing that game."
Well, there's that, and then there's like that same game when like Pecco wrecks him.
Oh, well, the wreck came first,
Yeah.
I believe, and then he's just like, "Listen, I learned the first time there."
Did you ever hear Pecco tell that story?
I want to say I have,
When
but
he's like, Troy and I are actually pretty good buddies, and he's like, so I like knocked him down to get Benson in the end zone. And I go over and I'm like, hey, man, you okay? And she's like, Troy's like, yeah, I'm cool. He's like, awesome. And just went over and celebrated with my teammates that we scored a touchdown. I still think that if things went right, that team could have been freaking awesome. With Chad,
yeah.
T.O., Shipley. They just didn't run the ball, and things just didn't work. No, because they were pretty damn talented. But they still only managed to win 4 games.
A lot of things I think happened in the right sequence.
And that's when I really started getting frustrated with Carson Palmer, because that was like that was the offseason when he said he's going to retire and all that stuff. But like trying to say like the franchise didn't treat him well and Mike Brown did this and that, which I can see to a point that Mike Brown didn't at that time. Like I'm not going to argue that. What made me mad about that was like he was the one that wanted Terrell Owens. He was the one that wanted to go get Antonio Bryant, who obviously got hurt and never played for the Bengals. He said, hey, will you give my brother a job? Like, he did all those things. And, like, he tried to say, like, the Bengals didn't do anything for him. They just kind of let him deal and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, like, anything you asked for, you got. In the draft, you want an offensive lineman. They got you offensive lineman. They got you Witt. Like, I don't know what more you could have wanted there. Like, that's a team that, like, did a lot for you to make sure you were healthy to play again after you tore your knee to shreds.
Yeah. Well, not to mention too, he asked for another weapon, for a check down option coming off the line. They went and got Jermaine Gresham first round.
Mm-hmm.
You're also talking about the fact that he pretty much. I don't remember the exact. I forget what he asked for. That was one other thing he asked for that season. And it wasn't for Jordan Shipley.
That was the same draft, yeah. Gresham and Shipley.
But I'm trying to remember. There was one other thing he asked for that year, and they got. I don't know why I'm blanking, but
was that? That wasn't the year they drafted. No, Simpson was. I think Simpson was the year before when I took Simpson the second round, and we all went, "Who the heck is that guy?"
I think you're right. That was either 09 or 08.
We'll come to it, I'm sure, because that was the year they signed Owens.
Yeah.
And, like the receiving core, you thought they were gonna be stacked.
Well, I'm trying to remember. I said I'm trying to just remember. Something happened. I think was it running back wise?
That was Benson came in because like Rudy left. Rudy went to Detroit. They were starting Chris Perry for a little while, and that wasn't
in 2010. It was Pierman in 2010.
Pierman was no, because they signed Benson in the middle of the year, one of those years.
Yeah.
And
Presley and
we'll come to it. Some other Kenny Irons.
Yeah.
Anyway, because we're drifting here, and we're wasting a lot of time. So we'll go ahead and get this in here real quick. I don't know if this works on the Google Hangout or not. If not, no big. It'll be in the transcribed episode later. We were fortunate enough to be joined by the Who Day Baby this week to kind of touch on the Bengals, what he has going on, and get his backstory as far as the Hall of Fame. He was in Canton during this ridiculously stupid weekend of not having a Hall of Fame game, and the NFL now facing a pretty big lawsuit on that.
And everybody, we know we got to keep this guest thing going now on Men in Stripes. This is our second one in 3 weeks, and you got to get the biggest Bengal fan in the land. You got to get the Hall of Famer none other than the Houday baby joining us this week. Mr. Houday, how are you, sir?
How's it going?
Good to have you. So stoked.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, a lot of changes this offseason. So, we had to get the number one Bengal fan to come on and talk with us here. I know Matthew and I are very excited to discuss this upcoming Bengal season with you. So, obviously, the big one, and we've talked about this each week now. Curious your thoughts. NFL Network seems to think the Bengals just died when Marvin Jones and Mahomes decided to take their talents elsewhere. Like, there's no way they'll recover from that, even though they've won 52 games the last 5 years. What does the Houday baby think of all this reaction to the Bengals being done, basically?
I think it's a load of hogwash. I really do. I mean, we have those two guys were great. I think we'll miss Sanu more for the gadgety plays than we will Jones. Went for the cash grab and left, but I think Tyler Boyd's going to fill in nicely. You know, we won't have Eifert for those first few games, but I still think we'll be fine. I see no. There may be a little bit of a slide to start the season, but then it'll catch up. Fine.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. That's the thing that we talk about every week is like all you hear in this conversation as far as like the Bengals being done and this turmoil and everything changing. Not once is the defense mentioned.
Right. It's fully intact. So I don't understand how you can, discount that fact at all.
Agreed, for sure there. So, tomorrow being the season opener, technically the preseason opener, had a couple days of practice with the Vikings. The news really coming out of there is Andrew Billings' injury there. So, but like we said, the defense still pretty stocked there. What are you looking forward to seeing tomorrow? Obviously, it's the first game of the preseason, so we'll only see the starters, maybe a drive, a handful of plays. Any names in particular you're looking to see what they're going to show as far as their talents?
Well, first thing I'm looking for tomorrow is no injuries. That's the key. I mean, I hate preseason for that fact because it always seems like something stupid happens and somebody gets hurt. But I was really looking forward to seeing what William Jackson has, but unfortunately that's not going to happen. I think Tyler Boyd is the one that you want to see the most of, and I hope that they give him quite a bit of reps, even though you don't want him to get hurt because he's potentially your number two. But you need to see what he has and if he can be that number two.
What are you expecting from your boy Dre this year? You guys seem to be besties.
Oh, Dre is my bestie, man. Dre's going to lock it down. I'm going to say he's going to have 8 interceptions this year.
Ooh.
I'm going to go too high. Yeah. That's right.
Not too high.
Not too high. And I'm going to say he's going to make the Pro Bowl.
Awesome. I can get behind that. I'm totally cool with that. It's Matthew, man. What do you have?
Absolutely. So, first off, because I didn't say thank you so much for joining us today, baby. But
no problem.
Andy Dalton looked incredible before he got injured, and of course, AJ McCarron came in and did a great job in his place. But what are expectations going into this season for Andy Dalton now that he's back and healthy?
I think as far as expectations, you have to think that he's going to come in at that same level, if not higher, and just keep performing because he seemed to have hit his stride. And the thumb was a bad injury, it was a fluke injury, but I don't think it's something that's going to hinder his progression so far. So I think that he's going to kind of pick up where he left off. He's got new toys to play with. And I think he'll be right on that same pace, if not better.
Of course, Hugh Jackson went to Cleveland. We all know that. Ken Zampese is kind of coming in, filling in the role. Do you think we'll see kind of a total different offense with Ken Zampese, or do you think that he's going to kind of pick up where Hugh left off?
That he'll kind of play off some of the stuff that Hugh did, and reading what I've read coming out of camp, it seems like he's kind of implementing a few of those gadgety, fun kind of plays to throw the defenses off. But I feel that it's going to be a little more conservative. I just think that that's kind of how he comes across to me.
Well, first off, let's get to 2003 Hall of Fame Bengals fan, man. So how did that come about? Like, how did your name get put into that amazing honor?
So in 1999, Visa started a program that they were going to induct a fan from each team for that season. So basically, to get entered, you had to send in pictures and essays, kind of explaining why you were a Hall of Fame fan. So they ran that program until 2004, and I was lucky enough to get selected by the panel. And there was no mention of who was the panel or what it was, but I got a nice certified package in the mail saying you've been selected to be entered into the Hall of Fame. And next thing I know, I have a plaque and my picture and my name hanging up on the Hall of Fame walls.
So what's that like, man? Like, you're talking about like the most infamous building in the NFL that's not a stadium. You're talking about so many amazing names and honorees there, and your name is amongst them in that place. So, like, how does that make you feel?
It's surreal. I mean, to say that, my name was sitting next to Paul Brown, that kind of thing, to go, how does that happen? I'm just a guy that, wears a big foam hat, puts some face paint on, and then there I am. So, and then from that, I got to, involved with the group of Pro Football's Ultimate Fan Association, which is all of those crazy people you see on TV every week from every team. And it's the biggest group of family you could ever have, and it's a great group to be a part of. And that's kind of almost, in a way, it's almost better than getting inducted in the Hall of Fame, is meeting this group of people.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure, man. It's got to be an awesome community there. So speaking of that, you were at Hall of Fame weekend, obviously a very controversial Hall of Fame weekend. What's it like year in and year out? I mean, obviously this year's a big one because Brett Favre, who, kids my age will always grow up and idolizing, gets inducted. Tony Dungy gets inducted, who's a well-respected coach. Obviously a great class this year. Do you enjoy the Hall of Fame induction? Do you normally leave by the time of the ceremony? Like, how does that weekend work for you?
So that way, it starts for me on Thursday. We go up and all the fans, we go up and do an event called First Ball, which is where they take a ball from downtown Canton and they pass it to the front steps of the Hall of Fame. And that is the ball they use to start the game with. Well, obviously not this year since they didn't even start a game. But, so after that, we're waiting for the ball to come up and all of us, we're sitting there signing autographs and handing out our trading cards. And a quick side note, funny story about that, where it felt like I finally made it. We were passing out lunch after that event a couple of years back, and I'm standing next to Dermontti Dawson and James Lofton. And I had a kid come up and walk past both of them and ask me for an autograph instead of them.
That's awesome.
So then on Friday of that weekend, we have a business meeting because the PFUFA is a 501c charity organization, and as a group of fans, pretty much each year we raise over $750,000 for various charities throughout the country.
That's awesome.
And so we have a meeting to kind of go over everything and just make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then that Friday night we have what we like to call the world's largest tailgate, because you have 32 teams all in a hotel courtyard tailgated up, so you can sample something from New Orleans and then walk across the way, get some soft shell crab from Baltimore, go to Oakland, all in the same courtyard, which is kind of a cool experience.
That is.
And then Saturday morning we get up bright and early and do the parade. Then we go to the J. Baker Community Center, which is in a low-income area of Canton, and pass out school supplies and various things for these kids that don't have it. You wouldn't believe the smile that these kids get by getting a backpack with a few notebooks and some pencils in it. Really kind of makes you think and reevaluate what you take for granted.
So one of the big reasons, of course, why you're here is this whole network that was started called FanView. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was contacted earlier this year by this company, and they're taking an innovative new look into kind of bringing people to a different experience at NFL stadiums. So there are going to be 32 different reporters doing live periscopes every week. and some of them may be at the stadium doing a Periscope while they're at their tailgate or walking in. Some may be, at home or at, an away game party at a local establishment, and just kind of giving people a different look at what happens at every NFL stadium every Sunday.
Very cool. So, as we will reiterate here, get catch up, we are on the phone with Houday Baby, the Bengals Hall of Fame fan. You can follow him on Twitter, easy enough, at Houday Baby, and catch his Bengals starts his news and updates each and every week. So, are you making any road games this year?
The one that's on the calendar right now is probably going to be Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
That's my only AFC North stadium I've not been to. So that's it's penciled in at the moment. I'd also like to go out to Jerry World and see Dallas, just kind of check it out. But
it's amazing.
We'll see if that one happens.
Yeah, that is on my to-do list. I went last year and did a tour of it, so I'm trying to make it down this year for the game. So with that being said, Mr. Houday Baby, again, we're excited to have you here, man. Glad you took some time to talk with us. Can't get you out of here without a season prediction. Wins total, how far they go in the playoffs. What are your feelings? What do you think this year?
I'm going to go 10-6, and we win the Super Bowl.
10-6 and win the Super Bowl. So if they go 10-6, you're probably looking at them being a wild card. So that's no home games in the playoffs.
All right. We like to play on the roads. More fun that way.
Awesome. Well, I like it.
Like a little bit of a challenge. You can't make everything easy.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. This is a team that definitely doesn't like to make things easy.
Exactly. I've known that for many, many, many years.
And I guess one more thing before we get out of here. Jeremy Hill, bounce back, or do we see the same in the second year?
I'm going bounce back. I'm going determined, and hopefully somebody bought him a jar of Steak-umm for Christmas.
I'm sure they did. Well, Mr. Houday.
So they told you what you got him for Christmas.
Yeah.
What was that? I'm sorry.
I said that's probably what Tim got him for Christmas last year.
Yes.
Hey, somebody had to. That was in my end zone, man. So I literally am watching the ball roll, and I'm like,
oh, I went through every emotion I had in 5 minutes.
Me too. I've talked about this on the show before.
Yeah, it was the quietest walk out of the stadium I've ever experienced.
I was literally on my phone when Vontaze picks the ball, looking up flights to Boston for the next week.
Brutal, man.
Brutal.
But that's the life. The life of a Bengals fan.
Well, Mr. Houday, baby, before we get you out of here, man, I would like to give you the floor to promote yourself, whether it be finding you on Twitter, any other social media networks you want to get out there so people know your name. And, one more time, promote your fan view stuff before you get out of here.
All right, man. So you guys can follow me on Twitter at Houday Baby. That's WHODEYBABY. You can also find me on Facebook under Houday Baby as well. And don't forget to check out FanView TV all season long. That's at periscope.fanviewtv.com. Houday Baby!
Awesome. Thanks again, man, and we look forward to talking to you a little later this season.
All right, I appreciate it, guys.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
So. Well, that's a little echoey. Man. That's super echoey. Wow. Oof. We were talking about Natty Light earlier. PGA Tour golfer Smiley Kaufman has inked an endorsement deal with Natty Light.
That is hilarious.
Dude, you do you, man. Make that money. Make that LeBron James $100 million money.
That would be making money off of millions of college students around the world who can only afford Natty Light. But no, thanks again to Houday Baby for doing that, coming on with us, and for taking the time because he is on the road. So we really appreciate him coming on with us and taking a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. No, definitely appreciate that. So Matthew, man, let's talk a little bit about a football game tomorrow. Kind of a football game. Um, I'm looking forward to this matchup with the Minnesota Vikings to see Mike Zimmer back in Paul Brown Stadium.
Yep.
It's cool, I guess. It's first week of the preseason. The starters probably play a drive. Um, so with that being said, I really, really like what I'm looking to see in that circumstance is one, I'm really hoping that one drive they are very in sync. If you remember last year, the first week game, the first preseason game, the first drive, they went out there against the Giants. They drove down the field and got in the house immediately. It was Mohamed Sano's only receiving touchdown.
Yeah. We know how much Matt Ryan's going to be not looking for him because we know who's the top wide receiver down in Atlanta. These guys are going to definitely be looking good. Even if they don't go down and score, I mean, we know that they still have a couple little things to work out, especially with the rookies and newbies, with Brandon LaFell. So, and let's face it, they're going against Mike Zimmer's defense. Do we remember Mike Zimmer's defense in Cincinnati?
Yeah, we're still looking at it. It's called Paul Gunther's defense.
Yeah, you're right. And so
less blitzing than Zimmer. A little less blitzing.
Yeah, but we know what to look forward to. I mean, and this defense is really a solid defense, one that one might pick up in their fantasy league. Right, Tim?
Oh, yeah.
So we know Mike Zimmer's defense is very capable of playing strong and playing deep. I mean, these guys always play deep, and he knows that well. But, I'm not worried about if they go down and score the first touchdown of the game or first drive. What we really want to see is we want to see Andy Dalton and his throwing capabilities first drive, see hands healthy, everything looks good. We want to see Jeremy Hill, basically back on his high horse, running like it was his rookie year again. That's the stuff we're going to be looking for more than can they put 7 points on in a game that means, well, nothing?
Yeah.
I mean, it means just about as much as the game that wasn't played last week.
Did the Vikings confirm yet? Because I know he's been practicing. Is Peterson playing tomorrow? I thought I read that they were going to try to play him in some preseason snaps.
I haven't seen anything that screams Peterson is on the bill for it. But I'm trying to look it up quickly, see if there was anything about it. But
so as far as the rookie class tomorrow, as far as the draft picks, we're going to see Tyler Boyd play. Mm-hmm. We'll see Nick Vigil. I'm actually really excited to see him play. I've been hearing a lot about him. Like, people seem to love him. Cody Core. We're going to see a little Cody Core action tomorrow.
Yep.
I'm excited for him, man. Super stoked for him. And then Clayton, what's his name? Clayton, I can't ever get his name right. The seventh rounder from Illinois. Fejelich?
Yeah, it's something really weird.
Yeah. But apparently he's a baller, man. Like, and that kid from Canada they got the rookie free agent. Like, apparently he's making some decent plays. Like, he's a tall-bodied wideout.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing, a little bit of depth on the cornerback. I would like to see, if Corey Tyndale can step up. I want to see some of the depth, even at safety. These guys really, really do. Josh Shaw, I think, is going to potentially take some safety stuff with him playing kind of a swing role with the cornerback in the safety position. So I'd love to see what he brings to the table. Obviously, defense-wise, we won't see Andrew Billings unless all of a sudden he feels 100%, which would be kind of odd after going through an MRI. Almost kind of sounds Ben-esque of randomly being able to throw 50 yards down the field and hit nobody, but yet all of a sudden set them up for a field goal.
We'll never let it go.
We will never let that one go. I'm sorry.
Like that Frozen song does not apply to us.
No, it does not. And by the way, she has an awesome voice, Adina Menzel. But
let's talk back to football now.
But back to football. Really, it's more about seeing what this team is going to be built behind, what kind of depth they're looking at, and maybe even seeing Mario Alford play a little wide receiver on top of his kick return roles that he might see. I had to throw a bone into Tim because
I'm like the flag bearer of the Mario Alford fan club.
Even though he plays for West Virginia,
that doesn't affect me.
He played for West Virginia.
Carson Palmer played at USC, but he was here.
Look where I am. I mean, I went to a Brad Paisley concert on Friday, where the second he would mention West Virginia, there was "Let's Go Pitt" chants all over the field, all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, so him and Tyler Boyd are gonna have some fun trash talking sessions every year.
That will be hilarious.
And then there's Corey Tyndale on the other side who went to Marshall, so that's like, just bring it all together.
Marshall actually have a chance of playing each other every year. We won't see a backyard brawl for I don't even know how many years. For the Penn State team's back on. That's happening this year. That's going to be an awesome game. So,
yeah.
But it's Mario Alford is said he reminds me of and now I'm going to blank on his name, the kick returner from the Steelers who was like 5'8" and No, I am going to blank on his name. Wow.
No, I can't remember.
He was like the 5'8". He ran a ridiculous 40. And that's going to be terrible that I am forgetting
He's Baby Hawk.
What's that?
I think Mario Alford's Baby Hawk.
Mario Baby Hawk?
I think he's Andrew Hawkins, man. Like, I don't know if he has the footwork, because I don't know if anyone in the NFL really has Andrew Hawkins' footwork. That stuff's crazy.
Yeah, I could see that, but at the same time, isn't he much smaller than what Hawk was?
I think he's an inch taller.
Is he?
I think so, because Baby Hawk was 5'6". Well, is 5'6". He still plays.
Okay.
You think Alford's 5'7"?
No, I thought Alford was 5'8". Stephon Logan, by the way.
Stephon Logan, that's right. We're literally arguing over inches right now.
But
5'9". Wow, we're both off. He's my height.
He's your height. Okay.
5'9", 180. I'm 5'9", 184, but I bet you he looks a lot better 180 than I do 184.
Yeah, probably. Seeing the fact that he has a state-of-the-art gym. Oh, I don't know. In his freaking locker room.
I've been in that place.
What he wants. No, it's going to be interesting to see him. And then, of course, James Wright, who's officially going to be back. And why am I feel like, the Mr. Irrelevant.
Brandon
Tate. By the way, I think they should give him a Mr. Irrelevant jersey. Especially at this point in his career.
I bet you he makes the team.
Oh, I bet you he does too, but that's more of a loyalty from Brown.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right, man. So, yeah, a lot of depth we're looking forward to there. Don't expect to see too much as far as schemes. I don't think it's even worth picking who wins and who loses. But still, we're talking about a Bengals football game. Like, that's pretty exciting.
We are. I'm extremely excited about that.
When do they play? God, I hope they don't play on Thursday next week.
I'm thinking it's a.
They do.
Saturday. They play Thursday.
Yeah, they play against Detroit next week.
So we'll be live filming that one.
They play at 7:30. So we could go earlier in the week if we have to.
We'll talk about that at production. Our production.
Yeah, that's fair.
We'll leave that off the air for another time of bickering when we're going to do that. But,
That's fine.
Are you going to that game?
Next week, no, because they're on the road for the next 2 preseason games.
Oh, that's right. They
go to Detroit, and then they have dress rehearsal against Jacksonville.
Okay, that's right. Okay. Are they at Indy or are they? Or
Indy's here this year, but I will more than likely be at that game, which I don't want to go to because it's the last preseason game. So it's like I don't even think Andy Dalton puts his shoulder pads on for that game.
Well, he put shoulder pads on, but I think they're the fluffy kind. In a suit jacket that he'll be wearing. So.
Oh, I see what you did there. All right, so I guess that goes there, and then do you have anything for pick up or put down? Because I don't really have anything this week.
No, but we have the game of shame, or the Hall of Shame.
Oh God, how do we not talk about that?
Which we do need to talk about. Which, by the way, news came out today. I don't know if you heard. It was probably only a couple hours ago. A $5 million lawsuit has been filed against
I mentioned it earlier.
NFL. What's that?
I mentioned it on the show earlier.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize. Sorry, I missed it. That's bad. Well, I was so focused on the outfit change that you all of a sudden like.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Back to. But yeah, $5 million lawsuit filed against the NFL and the NFL Hall of Fame for the Hall of Fame game that is supposedly going to be representing every fan who wants to join the class action lawsuit. Oh yeah, by the way, this is the same lawyer who. Oh yeah, do you remember the Super Bowl in Dallas with the seats that couldn't all of a sudden see very well? Yeah, it's the same lawyer who fought that one. So, good luck to the NFL on that.
Yeah, so that'll be
still. So, the Hall of Fame game or the game of shame, or I forget what we've actually deemed this now.
The LOL game.
Yeah, something like that. But really, how do you, when you know and you've had issues with this in the past, how do you fail to recognize that a paint that you've been using, that you've had issues in the past with, won't repeat the whole congealing and hardening the surface to make it unplayable?
My wonder is like the fan that's like sitting there like, what is going on? Like you're sitting there and you like watch Aaron Rodgers come out for warm-ups and you're like, oh cool, yeah, this is great. And then like all of a sudden you're like, what now?
Yeah. Which was interesting because if I remember correctly, they were trying to turn it into somewhat of a fan spectacle autograph session to try to redeem themselves. But
they need like, yeah.
They told them with only like 10 minutes till game time. They finally announced it to the fans, which we knew probably close to an hour.
Right.
So they made this decision well in advance, but they didn't tell any of the fans there, hoping, I guess, they would see it on Twitter. I don't know. But that the game was canceled. I mean, first off, and I understand it's Roger Goodell. I fully understand it's Roger Goodell. But who in the world thought of, you know what, we're just going to let the countdown clock keep rolling. Don't worry about it. You know, we'll
what's
tell
the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, And now the supposed $5 million that they make on the Hall of Fame weekend, or however, 5.5, is now in jeopardy due to a lawsuit. Like, are the NFL owners going to wake up and realize that Roger Goodell probably isn't the right answer?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, for love of God, we're about to, like, I don't know.
I understand it's a ton of money. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I understand, the reason we're sitting here talking about the NFL the way we are is because of Roger Goodell.
We are very upset about how much we hate Roger Goodell, but we have two god-awful presidential candidates this year, too. So let's just put that in context.
Well, I've always said that we probably should take a year off, let America. but we won't go there.
Yeah. So that's going to be, God, I hate Roger Goodell. Can I say that? I can say that, right?
That you hate Roger Goodell?
Yeah, like, I don't really hate people. But, like, the concussion stuff, when he, like, avoids it, like, in front of, like, Congress. The whole, like, the Flakegate going on for too goddamn long. Sorry, I did not mean to say GD. You can beep that if you need to. There's this whole crap about... See, I'm getting better. All the crap about, like, every player's getting suspended, but a Pittsburgh Steeler isn't. Did you see that thing, by the way, that someone said, like, the Steelers are treated like... Obviously, we knew this already, but there was, like, some article, apparently some, like, NFL executive said the Steelers get preferential treatment. And I was like, oh, no kidding.
I saw that. Well,
Yeah.
Too, he went after Adrian Peterson for his game checks.
Yeah, like,
For the whole time that he was still eligible while the whole
suspension.
thing with his kid.
Yeah, the whole stuff with his kid was coming out.
And so he's going after him for that. Not even the Vikings are going after him. The NFL is going after him. The Vikings are the one that owe him the money. So why is the NFL going after? I don't understand that. But yeah, that's kind of a nuisance. But
We haven't even talked about Bountygate yet. Jesus.
No, but Bounty. Well, let's put it this way: Bountygate, the Flakegate,
Gate.
and the video gate, whatever we want to call that. I forget what that was called. Spygate, yeah, that one. Those teams kind of did it to themselves.
They did, yeah, but
So we blame Roger Goodell, and Roger Goodell, no offense, was put in a position that no commissioner I think really was ever put in, and that's having to deal with a whole team cheating. And so he really had nothing to go on. So we'll go with the fact of, you know what, I'll give him a pass for Bountygate because Bountygate was brand new. I'll give him a pass for Spygate because Spygate was brand new. But Deflategate was such a mess. And I think one of the reasons it was a mess because now players were fully involved where it was kind of almost a player's responsibility for it. And we hadn't seen that. With the Bountygate, it was a coach. With Spygate, it was a coach.
right.
With Deflategate, now we're talking about players. And so he's really had no precedence to go off of other than the fact of, have players cheated in the past? Yeah. Has precedence been set for cheating players? Yes, but not to this magnitude where it affected – the feeling was that it affected many outcomes of games during the season when all of a sudden things are coming out of, you know what, the ball felt a little bit low, but we kind of went with it. How many players we heard after the fact come out and say that? Especially, if I'm not mistaken, Ravens. Anybody? Ravens?
Mm-hmm.
Come out and saying it. But
Just so much. Like, oh, God, we can go on and
there
on.
was just a lot of stuff. And then we get into the whole, now we're going to get into the drug and the steroids and this and that. And there's just been no legal bar.
Like Ben Roethlisberger's sexual assault scandal, and he gets 2 games. And Tom Brady takes some air out of a football, and he gets 4 games. Consistent. Vontez Perfect only hits Antonio Brown in the head because Antonio Brown's head's motion falls as he's trying to get a ball in his hand. Gets 4 games. Ben Roethlisberger again gets another 2 games.
Yeah.
God, what do we could just let's close this out because we'll go on forever.
Well, and I'll say this: the Vontez Perfect was a makeup call. We'll put it that way because of what he did in the Ravens game, blowing up a tight end pretty much when a play was over. That was a makeup call. There's no doubt about it, and the fact that it just happened perfectly with the whole Antonio Brown thing, because he even had James Harrison on his side sitting there going, "Listen, I'm 200 and some odd pounds. There ain't no way I'm changing course within 5 feet of a player." Plain and simple. We know that was a makeup call because everybody called for at least a somewhat, even if it was a 1 game, a suspension for just blowing up a tight end away from a play pretty much as the ball was already hitting the ground. So we know what that was really about. And the number of games is a joke. The fact that the NFLPA president, who, by the way, is on that Bengals team, didn't even come to Vontez's backing. I mean, we all know my feeling on Eric Winston by now, and that is really, you're going to say you're on this team and yet you won't back your own player. But don't worry, you'll go and basically sue as much as possible on behalf of Tom Brady until Tom Brady says enough for something that, was legitimate cheating. Okay. Great to know where you stand, Eric. Great to know. By the way, that would be probably the most interesting interview if we ever got would be with Eric Winston. To the fact that I probably would have to have my mouth taped shut. Because I don't know. I don't know how I would handle that. By the way, Eric Winston, you're a Bengal, right? Now why aren't you backing your boy? That would be bad. I think we would drop that call pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So put that on the no list. Bring in Eric Winston.
Yeah. All right, man. So I think that's going to close out this week's edition of Men in Stripes, brought to you by StripeHype.com, a fan-sided exclusive. Be sure to check us out each and every week and follow us on Twitter at Men in Stripes SH. If you want to send us any emails or suggestions for this week's show coming up, shoot us an email at meninstripessh@gmail.com. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the football tomorrow. We get to see a Bengals football game tomorrow. And who day?
Who day?
I am dead. I'm going to sleep.
Are you still live?
I don't know how, but I am.
Well, by the way, I think we're still live.